Islamic group linked to terrorists who recently held a conference, a major one, at a Hilton hotel in Chicago. And new concerns that meeting may have been a front for terror recruitment. Is our right to freedom of speech possibly putting our homeland security at risk again and still? Frank Gaffney Jr., former Assistant Secretary of Defense and the President of the Center for Security Policy, is live in D.C. Frank, this major organization, this Islamic organization, they say they're for peace. They are not for jihad. They are not for suicide bombers. Tell me about this organization and what they are for.
Well, the group is called Hizb Ut-Tahrir. Its explicit purpose is to bring about what they call the caliphate, which is a theocracy, a religious way of ruling the world, including the United States. They are explicitly talking about, in this conference, supplanting the U.S. Constitution with Sharia law, this theopolitical legal program authoritative Islam calls as the way that the world should be run, as well as the way individual Muslims should practice their faith. This is the problem. Sharia requires its adherents to engage in jihad, of either the violent kind, which we're familiar with since 9/11, or of the stealthy kind. And this group and others of a different sort of rubric, the Muslim Brotherhood, have adopted different tactics but are essentially seeking the same thing: the imposition here, as well as elsewhere, of Sharia, this barbaric code, and it's not good for America.
And Frank, what you're worried about is that not only did this come off and have a chance for them to get together, and if they want to plot and plan for the future, the fact that it came out without a hitch means they could have more conferences like this. And their philosophy sounds a lot like bin Laden's philosophy. He's our arch enemy, declared on war on us years ago.
Well, this is the same basic approach. It's the same, certainly, end game, namely the triumph of Islam worldwide and the submission of everybody else, Muslim and non-Muslim, to Sharia. So whether it's Al-Qaeda that's doing it in an explicitly violent way, or it's Hizb Ut-Tahrir who will when they can, or whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood who says, oh, no, we're not interested in violence, we're going to do this in a stealthy way, sometimes through elections, sometimes by sort of insinuating Sharia through our financial system and through special privileges and preferences. This is the same fundamental program, and it's antithetical to what we're about. And they are, as you said in your opening, Brian, they are using our freedoms against us. And worse yet, they're now in the position, I believe, or will shortly be, when Congress apparently is going to pass new hate crimes legislation, to say, hey, if you have this kind of conversation, you're engaged in hate speech, which could conduce to hate crimes against these Islamists. And, you know, it's mindless on our part to let them have the use of our freedoms for the purpose of destroying our freedoms.
Right. We could just sit there and we sit there and watch it, and we're docile and we stand by. But Frank, you're speaking out. We're Assistant Secretary of Defense and President for the Center for Security Policy. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll watch it, and hopefully it won't happen again. 4 minutes before the top of the hour.